Welcome, horror community, to Behind the Horror, presented by PromoteHorror.com. I'm your host, HorrO. So if you caught episode 1, you know that this is going to be a series about helping out people who are transitioning from being horror fans to creators of horror, or people who are already creators of horror, and hoping to give them maybe some tips. Maybe they can pick up on something, maybe a better way of doing things. Just think of this show, this series, as a way to help people out. That's what I want it to be. And again, I think that doing this video and doing them by video is the best way to get everybody's point across and getting the thoughts out there, and a place where people can go back and watch it again, time and time again, as much as they need. And of course, we'll build on the episodes, and we'll do some episodes on podcasts, do some episodes from authors, from filmmakers, and get different points of views and things like that. And so there's no guest today. You're stuck with just me, and of course this guy back here. But I'm going to be here talking about my experience, and I did a little bit of that on Talk Horror with HorrO, but that was just kind of a general introduction to me. And what I want this to be is a little bit more specific, and talk about my experience when I started doing my reviews, and how I set up my review blog, HorrO Gory Reviews. If you don't know that, that's how I started, and eventually ended up here with PromoteHorror.com. And I still do HorrO Gory Reviews. I still do the reviews, and but that is where I started. That's the first blog I did. So that's kind of where I want to begin and talk about. Maybe if you're a horror fan out there and you're thinking, I want to start a blog, I want to start a website, what am I doing, what am I looking at, what's going to happen. If you already have a blog, already have a website out there, hopefully I can give you some tip. Maybe you can follow along with what I'm saying, and maybe you agree with me if you don't. And hopefully at the end of this, you'll like the video, you'll subscribe, and obviously I want comments down below. Anything I talk about you agree with, disagree with, put it in the comments. If you have suggestions of your own for people checking out the video, throw them in the comment section as well. All is welcome and appreciated. So, when I started, of course, I knew the central theme was going to be reviewing horror movies. And what I wanted to do, of course, was to have fun with it. I wanted a place for me to express my opinion, whether people liked it or not, whether you agree with the reviews or not, that's fine. But I wanted a place to say what I wanted to say about movies and so forth. So I chose between, there's Blogger out there, there's WordPress. Remember, I started this about 10 years ago. So, things might have been different, maybe not as much options as there is now. There's other sites you can join now. If you want to create your own website, that's great. But I went with Blogger. And it was a lot of experimenting. Put this here, I didn't like it, take it away. Try different things to get the website, the blog, how I liked it. And that's the way it should be for you. When you're first starting out, get it to be comfortable for you. A comfortable way for you to add content to it. It depends what you're doing. Also, if you're going to be doing reviews, if you're going to focus on a certain aspect of horror, and focus on some very creative websites out there, and people doing unique things. Maybe you have a website dedicated to something like a podcast, something, you're an author, so you have the website dedicated to your books. You're a filmmaker, so you have it to your films. That's obviously your central theme, and you want that to be the main point, and central in the website. And then there are other things you want to add. Maybe you want to add to the website. If you go to HorrO Gory Reviews, you see on the side I have a section there with things like horror on TV, the iPhone apps of the month, and a bunch of categories of pages and so forth. And one of the things when you're setting up this website or your blog is you want to kind of consider is, are you doing this just for fun? Is it just for you? And that's kind of the way when I set out for the blog was it was for me, a way to express my opinion and to have a little fun. And I did have hopes that people were going to come and read it, and obviously you don't want to put it out there and just sit there and do nothing. But you have to gauge your level of how much you're going to put into this. So if it's for fun, go for it. Do what you like, have fun doing it, set it up the way you want, put what you want on there, and just go for it. Another thing to consider is the time that you have to do this. So again, if you're doing it for fun and you have all the time in the world, you can do it as much as you want, as little as you want, and just go for it. Now, if you're a little bit more constrained with time, you may want to consider how much you put on the site. When I started doing the reviews, I was doing reviews of mostly movies that were going into the theater. I wasn't doing too much DVDs and stuff like that. So I had breaks in between, and I wasn't reviewing everything out there, but whatever I saw in theaters, that was what I was putting up. What caught me was when I added the things I just mentioned, the horror on TV and the iPhone, the apps of the month. That made me have to update the site a lot more than anticipated. And in the beginning, I had time for that. That was fine, even though it was a little more work, and I had fun doing it. That was also work. It was added work. The horror on TV, for instance, that needed to be updated every week because that was presenting and giving information on weekly episodes that was coming up. Picks and previews page that was showing trailers. So every time a new trailer dropped, I would put pictures up from that movie and trailers up from that movie. That took time and effort to do that, and you want to try to keep that updated as possible. When PromoteHorror.com came around, that was a little harder to do. It starts taking up my time, and Promote Horror it takes up most of my free time, and to this day, it's all my time that is free is Promote Horror. So maintaining the blog became harder and harder to do. Maintaining stuff like episodes of TV shows every week is hard to do. So you want to kind of consider, that aspect. What kind of timing are you going to have going into this? All the time in the world, or not a lot of time? And of course, that can change as you're doing this. A couple of months in, you can have all the time in the world. Life changes. All of a sudden, things happen. You got a new job. Different things happen at family. You have no more time to do this anymore, or time to do it less. So doing a weekly thing is a little harder. So those are things to consider when you start adding stuff that needs more attention and more timely attention. Again, if you're just doing it for fun, it doesn't matter. If you're doing this more seriously, obviously that's going to matter a lot more. If you're an author and you have a new book coming out, obviously you want the book to be there. You want people to be able to find it, and you want it to have all the latest information. When's the book coming out, and so forth. One of the things I could say is, from my promoting standpoint, is this: I've promoted tons of things, books, films, all kinds of stuff, and it is a little frustrating as a promoter when you go to someone's website and you have a hard time trying to find the basic information. So you don't want to hide that basic information from people. You want it easy to find, especially these days. Everybody wants things so fast, and back, this was 10 years ago, this is now, and from that 10 years till now, everybody wants things faster and faster and faster. You want your internet faster, you want their websites faster, you want your information faster. Nobody wants to go on your site and struggle to find what it is they're looking for. So when I would do promotions for, say, an author, and I would go to their website, and I'm just looking for, when I do that, I'm looking for, a description of their book, pictures from their book, maybe other books that they have out, reviews. If you put it all in a nice simple place and to find, it's great. If you start putting things in different places and making it harder for someone to put everything together, it's not fun. Everybody wants it easy, especially these days again. So try to keep everything as simple as it can be to you at first, but then as you go down the road, start keeping in mind to the people who are going to be looking at your site, at your blog. PromoteHorror.com is all about the promotions, and that is why you'll find them at the top. They're always at the top of the page, because that is the most important thing that we're always pushing. That we share a lot of news, there's trailers, there's DVD releases. As you go from top to bottom on the site, you'll see all kinds of different things. Some people tell me it's too much, but to me, it's a way for me to present everything in a nice, different fashion for you. If you're looking for DVDs, they're there. If you're looking for a convention, there's a section for that. If you're looking for festivals, they're that. And it kind of plays off of what we promote. We're trying to push festivals. We're trying to push conventions. So you'll find it there. And I know it's not perfect. I'm not by any way saying that anything that I do is perfect. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit, about things I wish I would do differently or do better. That might have helped me out when I started, or even now, today. But you want to keep it fun for you at first, but if you're trying to do something a little more serious, like push your movies, push your books or whatever, you want to kind of make sure that everything is in place where people can find it easy, read the information quick. If you're doing books, make sure you have every link that you have, that you have your book available for sale there for someone to see. It's obviously Amazon's the most popular place, and a lot of people have that on there, but they have their book for sale other places, but you can't find those links. You maybe have to do a search separately for that. I don't understand why hide that. Maybe you get more money from Amazon, maybe you don't, maybe that's what you're pushing the most. But I would say people are different. Some people a lot of people like shopping at Amazon, but there might be a few people who still prefer Barnes and Noble or Smashwords or some different site, different outlet for that. So don't hide that from people. Let people know that they can find your book there as well, and just keep it as clear as possible. Again, if you're doing something, like on let's go to a filmmaker, you're gonna space out the films. You're not pushing a bunch of films at one time, so your website doesn't need to be constantly updated. But as you have film information, it's not bad to keep people updated. Use that site to update people on the status of what you're working on, but also have a place for people to find your prior films, and if they're available to watch, it's good to have a place there for people to watch your films there. If you have them all on YouTube, have your YouTube link there, or at least a page where people can go and easily watch your movies. That's the point. You want people to see your movies, and if they're available on a YouTube, don't hide that from them. Let them know that it's there. Let them know that it can be seen. Another thing that's important, if on your page, is to have your contact information available. If you have several social media accounts, if you have an email address, show that, or show a place where people can go. You can have an about page. PromoteHorror.com has an about page you can go to and get that information. HorrO's Reviews has the email there. Yeah, it could be in a better visible spot maybe, but I'm not all concerned with getting review information out there. People seem to find me one way or the other, with whether PromoteHorror.com at this point, or even through HorrO's Reviews, particularly on social media. So I'm going to talk a little bit about social media here. I don't want to dive into it too far. I think that can be an episode by itself, whether with me or with the guest. There's a lot to talk about, and social media has definitely changed from the time I started so till now. So let's again pretend that we're just starting off. So you have your blog, you have your website, and you're worried about. You start becoming worried about people and the views you're getting. Maybe you'll get lucky. A lot of people will jump on immediately, and you'll have a lot of views, and that's terrific. That's awesome. If you're getting a lot of views off the point, you've hit a keyword. You've landed somewhere. Someone has found you and is sharing your stuff, and that's awesome. At first, I wasn't worried about HorrO's reviews and how many clicks I was getting and so forth. And I told myself I wouldn't worry about that. I'm not going to panic, I just want a place, get my word out, and so be it. But it's nature. You're going to start creeping in and start looking at that spot on there on Blogger. You'll click stats and you'll say, oh my God, 5 people looked at this, 10 people looked at that, I gotta do more than that. This is ridiculous. I'm doing all this and only that. It'll hit you, even though you might start off with the intention of, I'm not. It will hit you at some point. Same goes for, people out there who are podcasting. People are looking at, how many listens they get, So it's the same kind of thing. Maybe at first you just, I'm just going to do my podcast and put it out there and don't worry. But then at some point you're going to be like, is somebody really out there listening to me? Is somebody really out there reading the reviews? Is someone really out there checking out the promotions? It's nature. So I would say at first, before you even want to jump on social media, a good tip is to reach out to the horror community. It's a very great place to be. They're very supportive. I was shocked at how supportive they were when I started. And when I say that, I say start with maybe finding other people's blogs who are doing horror as well. That's how I did it with HorrO's reviews. Before, I did do the social media aspect, Twitter and Facebook. But the first thing that I really did and really tried to get followers with, and it seemed to work, was subscribe to other people's blogs. You subscribe to them, they subscribe to you in return, which seems like a fair thing. And if you particularly comment on their blogs, say it's another review blog, and you read their review, and you're like, oh, that's an awesome review, just go in their comment section, put, hey, awesome review. I agree with you. I liked that movie. Or, if you want to be totally honest and you didn't like the movie they talked about, hey, I didn't like the movie. Be honest. Some people are great reviewers, other people are not. I know I'm not the world's greatest reviewer, but I've found my style and I go with it. And if you like it, great. I'm appreciative of that. If you don't, I'm sorry. That's just the way I review movies. And I know that there are a lot of people out there doing more fancier than me and so forth and that. But I'm fine. I'm fine with the way I do it. And be fine with the way you do it. If you're okay with it, go with it. But again, subscribing to people's blogs, subscribing to people's websites is not a bad way to start before you jump into the total and complete chaos that is social media. So I've had people, and a lot of authors who have had trouble, pushing their books. Book sales are hard. It's a hard thing to do. I always say PromoteHorror is built on authors because probably of all the things we've promoted books by far the most. And I've given advice to some authors who have just started with social media. And one of the great things I think about PromoteHorror is that, since we already have a social media presence, especially on Twitter, it's good to use somebody like PromoteHorror to help get the word out. What I say to people is when they come to social media is and of course, this is different from then. Social media, back then everybody wanted to be on it. Now some people are hesitant about it with all the things going on there. And I say, try not to be afraid, and if you use it in the right way, it can definitely be a help. And I tell people, there's a lot of social media out there, but try to find one just like I talked about, getting comfortable with your site and how you set it up and how you're able to put information on there, you know, find at least one social media that you're comfortable with and start there. I know that there's 3 or 4 big ones out there, and then a lot of little things you can do, and then, now you have apps on your phone and so forth that you can get bigger and bigger and spread your stuff all over the place. But, I think to start, find one of the social medias that you're comfortable with and you're comfortable sharing your work with, and you want to kind of make that your home. And I would say for Promote Horror, it's Twitter. Even for HorrO's reviews, it's Twitter. It's always been Twitter. I've very felt welcomed there. A great horror community on there. And I would say, if you want to do Facebook, do Facebook. There's YouTube. Go for it. Find your way through it. Learn it. Find the best way to spread the horror on there. Spread your work. But, start with one that you're comfortable with and make your way through that. And again, when you do that, if you're just going to have fun, create whatever Twitter name you want. Doesn't really matter. If you're an author or filmmaker or pushing, a brand and so forth, like PromoteHorror.com, try to get a name, add Promote Horror, add, if you're an author, add, some version of your name, maybe some version of your most popular book, something that can relate to you and only you, or as close to you as you can get, and go with it. That don't come up with some random name out of nowhere that no one can associate what you're doing with the name. And start there, join it, get comfortable with it, and stick to the topic. The worst thing you can do is start talking about politics and sports and all this other stuff. If you want to do that, create another Twitter account under whatever you want it to be and talk all the politics and so forth you want to do. Keep on point. Talk horror. Everybody loves to talk horror. You'll get followers from doing that, and just have patience. I know it's frustrating at first. No one's checking out the blog, no one's following me, whatever. Nowadays with Twitter's crazy, so you'll randomly see a lot of retweets for one thing or a lot of likes for one thing, and then maybe you do the same thing an hour later and you get nothing. Don't get frustrated. Keep doing it. Keep talking about horror. Keep engaging. If you find the right people to follow, they'll help you out. Another tip is don't be afraid. If you're an author, to reach out to another author. Either go to their site, like I said, subscribe. Talk to them. If you're on Twitter and find another author, talk to them. One of the great things about the horror community is the willingness to help each other. Again, when I started, I had no idea and how supportive people are be, and I have some longtime friends on Twitter who have been very supportive of the reviews, Promote Horror, from almost the start, and never met the people. Never met them. I hope to bring some of them on now to actually talk to them on something besides the social media, and but I've never met them. They didn't have to help me, but they did, and I know, I would say, it's a great thing that I've seen in doing this over the years is the willingness to help. And I know, people can be competitive, and I don't want to help out another website because they're also promoting horror, and that would make sense, and they're taking money from me, or they're taking views from me, and no, I've never been that way. I'm always here if I can help to help, and people will help. So reach out to them. If you do a shout out for their book, they'll do a shout out for your book. Maybe you review their book, they'll review your book. Don't be afraid to engage in those kind of things. If you're a filmmaker, hey, share my film, I'll share your film, I'll review your film, you review mine. Work that way. And even get in a discussion about things like what I'm talking about here. How do you write? Oh, I do this. Well, how do you do it? You never know. Gaining knowledge is a great thing, and that's something we're trying to do here. So engage in that. Don't be afraid when you're starting out to do this, um, to get help, and you'll never know what falls in your lap. And going to with promote horror, like I never had the expectation to do that. When I started off HorrO's Gory reviews, it was just to review horror movies and have a little fun with some of the other pages I did. And into it now, 10 years of doing that, 8 years of promoting horror. I'm here, and I didn't know that I was going to be doing promote horror. And when I started HorrO's Gory reviews, I've said it before, people started asking me to share press releases and post this and their campaigns and all these things. I had no intention of doing on HorrO's Gory reviews. I didn't design the site to do it, and that's kind of how Promote Horror got born. So you never know what's going to come of it. You may set out to have fun like I did, and years later you may be strapped to it and stuck to it, and I say it as, I love doing this. I love horror, and I love doing this, and I do it for the love of horror and to spread the horror, and I really do. There's no way that I would have put in this amount of work that I've done, and been in it this many years if I didn't love doing it. So that also comes with it. If you love doing this, if you love horror, that can be the easy aspect of it. So kind of taking some things that are more on, that's the easy stuff. Let's talk a little bit about maybe some of the harder things. And obviously one of the hard things for me at the beginning was I had no experience on Blogger, and I had no experience on WordPress, and kind of playing with the different things and making them work and things fit in certain places. And I certainly say that things are probably a lot easier now. There's a lot, you have your phone, you have your iPads and other devices to help you edit pictures and do things with pictures and make pictures the way you want them. Back in the day it was, just find the picture and put it there and so forth. And in a way, to me, doing the graphics part of it has always been a hard thing. Doing the picture kind of thing has always been an effort. That's one of my, I would say, weaknesses. Been lucky over the time and had some people share, like if you see the Promote Horror at the top and different graphics of Promote Horror, some people have done that for me. I had one that I started with. I have a couple of things I started with, but some of the ones I use now are things that people did for me. And again, this is talking about reaching out and people helping out each other out. They did that for me. I didn't ask them to. They did it out of their goodness and their appreciation for what I've done for them. So some of the better graphics you'll see for Promote Horror are done by other people, and that's definitely been a weakness of mine. And some people are lucky. There's people out there who are going to be very computer knowledgeable and know everything and know how to do everything there is, to a site and so forth, and that's great. And you can also, if you're really taking this seriously and you have the money to do it, you can have somebody out there make you a great site and do it the way you want and spend some great money on it and so forth. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, if you want to do it that way, do it that way. But I find that not everybody has the money, or if you're doing this just for fun, you don't want to spend a lot of money on somebody doing a website for you. So you kind of have to learn, what you're doing, what goes into it, and so forth. But there are some people who are very computer knowledgeable and computer savvy already, and doing these things are easy. To me, not so much. I might have found the social media may be a little bit more easier for me to do, even though I probably wouldn't be on social media if I wasn't doing Promote Horror and reviews and so forth. So if you're computer savvy, those things will come easy. To me, not so much. I had to do a lot of learning, a lot of playing, and I think one of the great frustrations are, with doing this is that you'll have your days where an image just doesn't want to load, the site doesn't want to load, email isn't working. Sometimes it's your fault, or sometimes it's your hosting site's fault. Um, and those can be frustrating times and frustrating moments. And just like in daily life, you have your good days and you have your bad days, and things are gonna happen. Again, if you're doing it for fun, whatever, it's not working today, close it, start again tomorrow. If you're constantly on it like I am and it's not working, it can be very frustrating. It can put you in a bad mood and ruin your day. But those are just things you have to deal with. One of the things, I did, upgrading PromoteHorror.com a couple of years ago was bringing under the hosting of GoDaddy. And while maybe you've had a great experience with the GoDaddy, I would say overall I have not. Maybe that has to do a little bit with me, but I also blame them aspects of it. I've spent a lot more time either chatting through them through the computer, on the phone, or whatever than I ever expected to, and I just didn't want that. That's not, I've already put in so much time and effort with doing the promotions and bringing you guys news and the social media and everything that I do, that to sit here and talk about the behind the scenes aspects of what's going on with the site, it's frustrating, and I've wasted hours and hours of my time doing that, and again also wasted money, where I think that if they would have better explained things to me, I wouldn't have had to do that. But that, again, a little bit of that is on me. Again, if you're more computer savvy, maybe you know the inner workings of that, and I just didn't, and I don't. And things that were somebody else may be able to fix, I couldn't fix without some help from them or someone else. So again, you don't have to use GoDaddy. If you're using GoDaddy, you've had a great experience, terrific. I'm not here, trying to rip GoDaddy. I'm just sharing my experience, and my experience with them has not been terrific. So it's something to consider. If you are going to get a host, if you are going to do and pay for a website name. When I was doing, even HorrO's Gory reviews to this day is on Blogger, Blogspot, and it's free. I don't mess with them. I just do it, and that's it. PromoteHorror, I tried to up the game a little bit and do an official hosting and so forth like that, so I can be free to do what I want with no problems and so forth. And I've had some pains along the way in doing that. But if you're familiar with websites and a lot of the stuff that I've learned from GoDaddy and all this coding and all this other crazy stuff, then maybe it's not a pain to you, and you can use them and be happy, and you'll be fine knowing how much space and memory your site and all this stuff, and you can manage that yourself and know what's going on with all this crazy stuff behind the scenes of computer knowledge and so forth. It's something I didn't consider when I switched over to GoDaddy, and I wish I did. I wish I knew. Maybe I would have done a better search and considered something else besides them. But again, that's on me. So I hopefully that making you aware that if you're not that computer savvy, things to consider. If you're going to pay for a site or whatever, know that there's other workings behind it and so forth. But I think if you're keeping things simple and you're keeping things to just sharing your book, sharing your movies, and so forth, it shouldn't be that big of a deal. I guess it's if you were trying to create a bigger horror site and injecting more and more content into it with news and trying to follow the news and sharing trailers, and you put a lot of trailers on the site and a lot of posters and whatever other things you have come to mind that you're putting into it. The more you put on it, the more complicated it gets, the more gadgets and stuff that you try to put into the site, the more you open yourself up to problems. So that's something to consider. If a gadget's just not working for you, just take it down. There's usually another one that you can find to replace it. There are plenty of gadgets out there. I remember starting off with HorrOs. There were a lot out there, but you know, it depended on what kind of blog you were doing, and of course, doing a horror blog, there's not gonna be a whole bunch of things, horror this and horror that. You just kind of play with what they have to give you, and make the most of it, and then it ends up on you injecting a lot of the content on there from what you know and what's going on in the horror world, because it's hard to find gadgets out there to dedicate just to horror, but you can make the most of it. So let's see, what other struggles do I have out there? I mean, there are the struggles with the social media, but again, I don't want to get too far into that, because I think that's a good conversation for another time, and especially with the way social media is now, and I would say, again, kind of going back to the start, are you having fun? Are you doing this seriously? And how much time and effort you're going to put into all this? And then know that, there are going to be hard times and aggravations that come with it if you're doing it seriously. But if you're just doing it for pure fun, go with it. Don't worry about the clicks. Do what you're going to do. I say, even if you're doing it seriously, even though I'm giving you a lot of tips and recommendations, do what you're going to do. Create your site the way you want to do. You're not going to appease everybody. I know I don't appease everybody with PromoteHorror and how it looks and how it's presented. But, to me, it works. It makes me... I've giving so much content out there in different ways and so forth, and trying to promote everything. I'm not just trying to promote books. I'm not just trying to promote conventions. I'm trying to promote everything I can to promote. And, over the years, and setting it up, it's created different pages and different outlets and so forth, and it's a lot there, and maybe that doesn't work for you, but for me to present it in a fashion that I can present it, and me being able to work with the time that I have to work, it makes it easy for me. I know that this goes here, that goes there. It's just easy to put together that way, and you do, and I do try to consider what you guys are looking at, and so forth. I definitely said that before. As you go along, at first you want it to be convenient to you, but then at a certain point you want it to be convenient to your readers, so that people are looking at the content. So I always consider that. I've always considered changes. I'm always welcome changes. If you guys out there say, hey, when you watch this video, you say, oh, well, he seems to, maybe not know this or not know that, or is open to a comment about something. I'm willing to make a change on Promote or HorrO Score Reviews if it makes it more convenient to you guys out there. The site is for you guys, and your site is out there to push the promotions and push the news and push everything that we are. I would say as time has gone on and built this way, I've found ways to incorporate social media and use social media to help, so that the pressure is not always on the website. More of the pressure is on the social media. And I say, the website's kind of like the home base, and the social media are the outlets, reaching out to the audience, to people, and I find ways to make it all work together, and to get it out there through the social media. But each social media has its own techniques and so forth, and kind of why I'm doing this here now and bringing this to you on YouTube, because I think this is the perfect outlet for that. I did consider making a space on PromoteHorror for this, but I just didn't think it fit, and it would have ended up being a lot of writing, and I think the way of the world now is videos and podcasts and so forth, and nobody so much wants to sit here and read a huge thing about how to make your blog, or tips about blogging, and tips about making a website, and what to do and not to do with it. Nobody really wants to read a long thing about that. And if you've been on HorrO's Gory reviews lately, you've seen that I've even gone to doing some video reviews, because again, I think it's just easier. Somebody can put it on. You don't have to be staring at my mug like you're doing now. You can just put on the volume, listen to me talk about the movie, and move to the next one. You don't have to sit there and read my 5, 6, 7 paragraph explanation of why I like the movie or not. You can get it right there just by listening to it. And it's also, like I said, everything's faster these days. It's a faster way for me to just pop in the video, say what I need to say, and jump to the next movie, as opposed to sitting here. I know some people can write reviews really quick and so forth, and put it out there, in no time. But for me, even with the simplest of reviews, I tend to stare at it a long time, edit it a long time, and just think about what I've said and what I'm going to say, and blah blah blah, and it takes a longer time. I found doing the video reviews, I just spit it out there, whatever I like, talk a little bit about the movie, whatever I liked, disliked, and that's the end of it, and move on to the next one. And I don't think every movie needs a 5, 6, 7, 8 paragraph explanation of it. You can just quickly, in a few minutes, talk about it and get it over with. So again, as you grow your site, as you move in time, you bring those social media aspects into it and help. We'll see what happens with social media. There's a lot of rumors of change and so forth, and regulations, and even with I'm not going to get into it. The battle with horror and some of the social media. I'll save that for Talk Horror with HorrO. But use what you can. Be comfortable with what you can. Don't stress yourself out at the beginning, because you never know how long you're going to be doing this. I stress myself out now a lot, because I've been doing this a long time, and there's a lot to it, and a lot going on. But have fun. Consider your timing. Try to start off with what you're strong at, and go with that, and then work on your weaknesses along the way. And know that maybe it won't be perfect. I'll say it again. I know everything at PromoteHorror is not perfect. The review site is not perfect. Go there right now, and I bet either the Horror on TV page is not updated, or the apps of the month are not updated. One of those is not updated. I blame that on PromoteHorror. So if you like those sections, blame that on PromoteHorror. Just have fun, and do what you got to do to make yourself happy with it first, and then along the way, catch your readers and reach out to them and see how they can help you, and how you can help them in return. And PromoteHorror is always here to help as well. Whether it's social media, whether it's something we can do for you on the site. There are other sites out there similar that can also do plenty of the same. And maybe one day I'll even throw in here. One day I'll learn better how to do these videos and edit some of this noise out, like this dog barking. And that's just something that will come along the way. So while I've gotten to a certain point with the websites, now I'm going back to these videos, and now I have to learn how to manage these videos, and that'll be something I learn. And I'm starting off with what I can do now, and you guys will take the ride with me, and hopefully by the time down the road, these videos will be much better quality, better background, better everything, and so forth. So do what you can do. Don't stress it. Coming to you face to face, after all these years is this, almost a step one for me. So, have fun and enjoy what you do, and bring your content and bring your creativity to everybody else. Don't try to please everybody. You won't please everybody. And try to stay on topic. Whatever you're doing horror-wise, talk about the horror community, talk about the horror world. Keep it at that. Don't start talking about the rest of the world. You get yourself in trouble that way, and the horror community will welcome you in, and I thank all of you for welcoming me in all this time now. So with that, I hope you enjoyed episode 2. Hopefully you've learned something, especially if you're just thinking about making a blog, making a website. If you're already out there and you've already done it, hopefully you've picked on something that I've said that has rung a bell with you. Again, please, this is to help everybody out, and it helps everybody out. If you have some experience in this and you want to share your experience, comment in the comment section. If you disagree with something I said, you love GoDaddy, put it in there. I don't mind. Anything that's supportive and can help somebody who's doing a website or already has one, and what if you can help, put it down below so people are not only watching the video but they can also read the comments. If you're interested in being in a future episode to discuss any kind of topic, you can always find me. I'll have that information down below on how to find me and PromoteHorror.com. I already have a few ideas of what's coming next, so it may not be right away, but if you reach out to me, maybe somewhere down the road we can set something up. This topic, if you have another great topic that you have that you think will help the horror community and is kind of on point with what I'm trying to do here, I welcome it. So again, I thank you for joining me and spending all this time with me, and I promise next time we will have a guest. I already know who that person is, and looking forward to having them on and talk about how they do things they do in their area, and how they started and so forth, and hopefully we'll help the people out who are thinking about that area. But again, we'll get in that in episode 3. So thank you for joining me for episode 2, and this has been Behind the Horror, presented by PromoteHorror.com.